And I say warm welcome to all of you who are be here and watching to me on my studio, that is Colors of Care. In today, an other guest is with me, and we are deeply honored to welcome Mr. Lee Weissman, a dedicated Jewish educator and impactful digital creator whose meaningful work in faith education continues to inspire audience across the globe. So we say warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. Could you briefly introduce yourself to the audience? What inspired you to become a Jewish educator and a digital creator?
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It's my pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. Um, me, I have always been, I guess maybe I've always been interested in education. Um, I, I kind of have always looked around the world and felt that our problems uh, our problems are only going to be solved by a change of mind and heart. And I thought to myself, how does one bring that about? Can you bring it about through politics? Can you bring it about through economics? So I decided that the best way was through faith, and that largely the reason why we have so many problems in this world is because we don't understand the value of human life. We don't understand our relationship with God. And so I became a religious educator, and eventually also moved into interfaith work also, um, hoping to make the world a better place that way also. So that's me. And I taught high school for about 30 years. And now I'm retired and living in Washington, D.C. I teach classes for adults now, which is very, very different and very nice. It's a pleasure to teach adults. And that's what I'm doing.
Okay, sir. According to you, how much faith is important for a person's life?
I think it's extremely important. I think I think it's important for a person to be grounded, um, and to have a certain amount of order and serenity, and to have a kind of clear moral compass. And faith can be that. It's not always that. I mean, it's you know, it's not a question of how much faith, but whether the faith is good. Sometimes religion can make really good people, and it can make really bad people. I say that with all honesty. Um, because of the power of faith, it can do some really wonderful things to people, that you see people who really are magnificent, and unfortunately can also lead people into some very bad directions. So into fanaticism and extremism and all of those things. But I think that religion done properly, with balance and with real education, I think is a very valuable thing in society. It can be, should be.
Whatever your faith, whatever your beliefs, you should have to be balanced in it. Okay, sir. Can you tell me how did your journey into faith education begun, and what motivated you to use social media as a platform for teaching?
Well, so so my background is a little unusual. I did my PhD work in South Asian studies. I actually lived in India for 6 years. I lived in South India, and I was an expert in Tamil and Sanskrit. And I came back. I came back from my research in India, and I decided to change routes, and I started to study. I started to study my own religion. I apprenticed myself to a rabbi, and eventually, I needed to get a job. And I had a friend who was a high school teacher, and he said, "Can you teach? Can you teach Jewish studies in high school. And I said, well, I don't know. I, I think I can. Um, and so he said, well, I have to leave my job. I'm going away. And why don't you take my job? Uh, so a little bit hesitant, I took his job, and I decided, and I noticed that I really liked it, really enjoyed it, and so I started to teach. The the use of social media was a little bit later. It was actually during the Arab Spring. Um, so during the Arab Spring, I was quite amazed at the power of the internet to spread ideas. And I mean, I was certainly on the internet by then. I was aware of it and I was already kind of cognizant of it, but I didn't realize the power that it had. Um, and I thought to myself, this is we now in this generation have an opportunity that we just have never had before. We have an opportunity, first of all, to connect with other people. I mean, just look at the situation we have with right now. Okay. So when I was 25 years ago, 30 years ago, okay, you and I, in order to have a conversation, would have to make a trunk call, right? You'd have to go to the post office, right? And you'd have to wait 2 hours, right, to be able to use the phone. And then when you use the phone, you'd be going, hello, 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 and you could barely hear anything, right? We would be able to have a 2 minute conversation. We wouldn't be able to see each other, right? And
Hmm.
so the world suddenly, with this technology, the world became much smaller. And what an opportunity that is to be able to communicate with all sorts of different kinds of people and to learn about all sorts of things. And and for me to be able to share, and I guess for me it's a great opportunity um, to share because a lot of people in the world don't know much about us, about and or about our religion, and so I'm happy to be able to share that with people.
Yeah. Okay, sir. In your journey, how do you handle misunderstandings or sensitive discussions about faith online? And
I most
what key message do you most want your audience to learn from your content?
I think the thing I most want people to learn is that if you approach something with an authentic curiosity, and if you have patience, you can talk to and you can learn from and you can teach almost anyone. And listen, the challenges are difficult. I mean, listen, I'm a human being also, right? And sometimes things, especially online, they hurt me. People can be very harsh and difficult sometimes, and it's painful. Um, and I remind myself, I guess I remind myself like this. There's a very famous story about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that uh, people used to insult him. They used to call him mudammam, right? They used to call him like it was a bad word, right? And they used to yell at him mudammam, mudammam, and it was like a nasty thing to call him. And somebody said to him, he says, doesn't that upset you? He says, no. Well, why not? He says, because they're yelling at some guy named Mudammam and my name is Muhammad. And because they're not yelling at me, they're not talking about me, they're talking about something that they imagine. And so in my case, right, I think most people who know me, right, most people who know me, they don't have a problem with me. I don't have a lot of enemies. But if somebody has some imagination in their head and they project it onto me, okay, that's their problem. That's not my problem. So that's how I usually solve it.
Uh, when you do this, uh, in your opinion, what role should faith education play in young people's life today? How can educator like you make a religious or values based education more engaging? Is it tough or easy for you?
Well, it's it's tough. It can be tough and it can be easy. So what I find works best is that young people love to talk about things that matter. Okay, they love to talk about things that matter. So, for example, um, little kids at a very early age have a strong sense of fairness, right? They have a strong sense of fairness. Every kid comes up with a sense of fairness. That's not fair. That's not fair. He took my ball. That's not fair. He took this. That's not fair, right? So they're interested already in ethical things. They're interested in what's fair and what's right and what's good and what's not good. And so it's very easy to talk about those. Very easy to talk about those things with kids, and they love dilemmas. They love difficult problems. You know, if you present a kid, I'll, I'll give a very simple example. I'll give a very simple example. So this was an example that was given by a famous psychologist um, who said, so imagine you have a man whose wife is very sick, right? Whose wife is very sick.
Can you repeat?
Yes. So we're going to tell a story. Okay. There's a man whose wife is very sick. Okay. She's very sick. And there's a doctor who has created a very, very expensive medicine. And it is the only medicine that can cure this woman. But it's very, 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 very expensive. And so the man goes to the doctor and he says, "Listen, my wife is very sick. I really want to buy this medicine, but I don't have the money. Could you please give it to me at a lower rate, or maybe I could pay you over time?" He says, "No." He says, "You pay me the full amount or no medicine." So the guy goes in at night and says, "Should the guy go in at night and steal it?" Good question, right? So if you present a question like that to a child, you'll get all sorts of interesting answers. They'll say, "Well, yes, to save his wife's life, it's worth to steal." He said, "But wait a second, the guy may have spent millions of dollars developing that. How can you say that?" He said, "What if it wasn't his wife? What if it was his dog? Right? What if it was his cat? Right? Should he steal it? No, 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 you shouldn't do that because a cat is not worth it." Okay, so you're saying the cat's life is not worth it. Okay, fine, good. So what if it was his grandmother and she only had 5 more days? She was very, very old. Maybe she'll only live a couple more days. Should he do it? So when you present kids with difficult real life problems, they have a lot to say. So if you can engage them and introduce them, and then you can talk about the ethics, and the kids are capable of talking about those things. Plus, kids have their own spirituality, right? They have their own spirituality. Kids, you know, when I was a child, to punish us, they used to make us silent. Okay, that was what they used to do. So imagine I was a little kid, and there would be people screaming in the classroom. You know, it's like a normal classroom. A lot of noise, and all of a sudden the teacher would get angry, and go, "Everybody's head on your desk." Right? And I'd put my head down on my desk, okay, and the room would go quiet. And I was like, ah, so nice. So nice. And I've talked to other people who have that same experience, and everybody had the same experience. I was like, right? Because we crave silence and solitude, right? There's a part of us, it's a spiritual part of us, right? That needs a little bit of peace and a little bit of quiet. And oftentimes religion and spirituality will give that to people, right? And kids need that. That's something that's something that kids really need. In the Montessori school system, they use a lot of silence, right? They teach kids how to get silent, and it finds that it really centers the kids. So there are some kinds of prayer and some kinds of dhikr and things like that that really are good for children and really make them and really can help them.
Okay. Can you conclude what is the key factor that is much necessary for a child growth and for the child development regarding academic, regarding spiritual?
Okay, love. You have to love them. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to love your students. Um, nothing works like love, um, and to love them for who they are, right? We don't teach curriculum, we teach students, right? We don't teach material, we teach students, and they're human beings just like us. They have strong points and they have weak points, but you have to be able to see each individual child, and you have to be able to love them as they are. That's it.
What daily habits that are be have you for making you motivated and consistent?
Pray a lot. I mean, really, when I used to go into the classroom, go in the classroom, and now when I teach online. I also teach in person. And before I teach, I pray. I pray. I ask God to please give me the right words to help me to be able to reach the people who I'm talking to, and to be able to, even before you and I got on, I prayed, right, that I should be able to find the right words to answer your questions. I should be able to, and I should be sincere, and I should be honest, and I should not, and so uh, that's my main preparation. That's my main preparation for everything that I do, is to connect myself to the creator of the world before I start anything.
Okay, sir. What is your inspiration? Who inspired you a lot in your life, and who have an impact on your thinking?
I've had a lot of inspirations. Um, so I've certainly had spiritual inspirations. One of my own rabbi, Rabbi Leo Tesler, who was my teacher, and who trained me up well, I hope, and he was one of my big inspirations. Um, in Pakistan, Mr. Eidi was one of my big inspirations, a person who I admired very, very much. Never got a chance to meet him. Uh, uh, Mr. Alawala went to greet him on my behalf, actually, which was very sweet of him. Rayan did that for me. Um, and I'm trying to think of my other inspirations. Um, Yeah, there are a lot of them. There are lots of my own mother was a big inspiration. My grandmother was also a very big inspiration. Um, and so, yeah, I have lots of inspirations.
Now you are also an inspiration for a lot of people.
I hope so. I try. I try at least a little bit.
Okay, what is one misconception people often have about your work? Any misconception that you faced?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because a lot of my some of my teaching, at least, is between Muslims and Jews, right? A lot of my classes are attended by both, and I teach, and I'm able to kind of move with both. And I think some people, uh, they get confused, or they think somehow I'm interested in politics or something like that, and which I'm not interested in politics at all. Um, I'm not interested in talking about politics. I don't care about politics. I don't trust any politicians. I don't trust, and I'm just not. It's not my thing. And that's probably the biggest thing is, then I have some sort of political agenda, but I do not.
What kind of company do you enjoyed a lot?
What?
What type of company which is make you happy? Do you enjoyed a lot?
What kind of company?
Company of people. What?
Oh, I first of all, I really like being around younger people because I, no offense, I love, you know, all us gray beards. You know, after a while, people start to get, all they talk about is the doctor they went to and the pain in their arm and everything else. So it's nice to be around young people who are interested in, who are interested in, you know, important things and interested in life and still have life ahead of them because I can keep a younger viewpoint. Um, I guess I like people who are optimistic, friendly, warm, those things.
Okay, sir. Now, please give me some details about your personality, about your residence, where you belong, and what are your favorite food. What is your favorite color?
Well, okay, well, I live in Washington. I live in Washington D.C., just outside of Washington D.C. Um, and um, my favorite color changed. It used to be purple. Now it's green. Uh, and uh, and my favorite food is one you would appreciate a lot, probably biryani. I would say that biryani is probably my favorite food. Um, yeah.
Whenever you come to Pakistan, I will do it for you,
Okay.
inshallah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love biryani.
I make a very delicious biryani.
Yeah. I am a
My
very big.
children really enjoyed it.
I'm a very big fan of biryani. That's my thing.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's
sir.
probably
What message would you like to give to our viewers around the world?
my message is don't give up. Whatever it is that you have in your mind, whatever it is that you want to be. I love how the Rehan school, everybody is a wala or wali, right? Somebody who's trying to do something, okay? Somebody who's trying to be something. Whatever it is you're trying to be, okay? Don't ever, 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 ever give up on yourself. Okay, it's always possible to do it. And if you can't do this, if you have in mind you can do it, you'll find something else, because the truth is that the world is the path is sometimes a little circular, right? It doesn't always go straight like we think it should. But don't worry about not going straight. Don't worry about failure, right? Failure is something just to pick yourself up from, start over again. We can always start over again, so don't give up.
From your message, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, how much self appreciation is necessary for a person? Because individual differences are present, and everyone have a different traits and different qualities and different appreciation levels. How much self appreciation is necessary for a person?
It matters a lot. If I were going to, it may be the single most important thing. It may be the single most important thing, because look, if you don't believe that you're worthy, right? If you don't believe that you're worthy, if you don't believe that you can be good, then you will not be good. Right? You have to believe that you can be good. You have to believe that you can be successful. It's it's so important. I worry about this with social media sometimes. You know, the kids go onto Instagram, right? And everybody looks perfect, right? Everybody looks. I lost a tooth. See, I lost a tooth.
Mhm.
Okay, what happened? So I lost a tooth, and I said to my daughter, I said, I look like, and she said, you look like people used to look like. because because back in the old days, right before everybody had their teeth fixed, or okay, I'll have a fixed also, right? It used to be, hey, people miss teeth. That was normal, right? But now everybody has the perfect smile. Everybody has the perfect skin. We put on the filter, right? So that everybody is like, right? So we shouldn't think just because we're human beings, right? There's something wrong with us, right? So we should be able to look at ourselves and think, okay, we're good as we are. right? And it's important. It's important people not to be down on themselves. Really important.
How many children do you have?
So I have a stepson and 6 grandchildren, and I have a daughter, and soon, inshallah, grandchild also. So
Okay. How many languages do you know?
I
You
know
utter a word,
uh,
inshallah.
I know a bunch of languages. I don't know, like
Wow.
6 or 7, something like
Have you any understanding about Urdu?
that. थोड़ा थोड़ा उर्दू बोलते हैं. So,
I really enjoyed this session. Your personality have an impact. Really, it's not a word.
oh,
It's a
you're so
real impact. Thank you
kind.
so much for your timing. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you
I
for having
really
me.
enjoyed it, and you are a mentor.
Thank you so much.
This is my feeling for you at the
Thank you.
end of session. Thank you so much for your timing. Thank you so much,
My
viewers.
pleasure.
Have a very good life, sir. Thank you so